Hank for Free Podcast Tools, and it's time to dig into that wish list for the Tascam Mixcast 4 firmware updates. Now, this isn't all the items that were in the comments, but these are some of the most popular repeated ones. First, a lot of people want microphone settings to be saved. So you could have various settings, and you could just tap on the Mixcast and say, okay, I have this microphone plugged in, so I want the gain to be this, the compression to be set to this, the noise gate set this way, and so on and so forth. And I have to agree, I think that would be a really cool way to have things set up. Some sort of little memory that you have set for the device. That'd be cool. What I usually do is put this microphone on channel 1, some of the other ones I test on channel 2, condenser on 3, and so on and so forth. But this would be a better way to do things, I think. Next, the ability to use the sound pads to control OBS and other programs. So I think that one is kind of a ripoff of the Rodecaster Pro, which has some sort of similar feature like that. And I think it's actually a cool idea, especially because I'm recording into OBS right now. And that'd be cool if I could change scenes from the pads here and stuff like that. That'd be kind of neat. Will we ever see something like that? I don't know. But I do have to admit, that'd be a big plus for the device. One that has gained a lot of traction, audio routing options. So a lot of DJs have been hitting the channel and they want this. My best friend is a DJ. And I mentioned this to him, and he agrees that there should be a way for you to route audio in various different paths. So I do think that's a cool idea, and that one should be doable in firmware, but we'll see if they get around to that. Oh, if they can make this one happen, this would be so wonderful. I don't know what the limitations are in firmware updates, but if there's a way to not record unused channels. So if I never use channels 2, 3, and 4 because I always record alone, why do they have to be recorded every time? That would be so great to have a way to say, I'm not using Bluetooth, I'm not using channels 2 through 4, and I'm not using the TRRS channel at this moment or whatever you. Don't record those. Just record the active channels. That would be a game changer, because that could change the file size that we're up against, which limits the recording time in multi-track. And speaking of multi-track out to a DAW. Rodecaster Pro is able to do that. It'd be great if the Mixcast 4 could also do that. Instead of just being a 2-channel out, stereo out, it would be awesome if it was multi-track out, and you could select which ones recorded. That'd be fantastic. And then if they could figure out some kind of workaround for exporting the complete file. So instead of me having the first 30 some minutes on one file and then the remainder on another file, it'd be amazing if I got that file somehow stitched back together on export in their software. You know, maybe they say you have to use their software on export or something. I'd be fine with that. But if there was a way to just seamlessly behind the scenes have that stitch back together, oh, that'd be beautiful. Instead of going, now I've got all these tracks for this first part of the recording, now I have to import all the other tracks for the second part of the recording, or third part, or how many ever it has been spliced into. Next, this is one I've only asked for, but I wanted to put it in the list, an SD card shortcut. So how the little image of the SD card is on the device, it'd be great if you could just touch that and it shortcuts you right to the SD card settings. And staying in line with firmware updates over USB. The step-by-step procedure is not too tedious. It's not too hard to pull off. If you get value from the Free Podcast Tools channel, please subscribe and like this video. Another feature that I saw requested was an EQ. Some of the people were saying 6-band EQ would be sufficient. For me, if you're going to go in, you might as well go all in and go 31, but that's just me. But having some way to EQ on the device would be cool. Be another step you could shave off in post-production. Now, this next one I didn't totally agree with, but I did want to include it because it's come up several times, and it is microphone volume shortcuts. Personally, I think having the fader and then being one button press deep isn't a big deal, but I guess there's a group of people that want it to be even simpler on here, so you don't have to go into the menu itself. Maybe a long press on the channel and then the volume appears on this main screen or something to that effect. That one I don't think is that big of a deal, but obviously it is a big deal to some of you, so it's a valid request. This next one, I went back and forth with the commenter that presented this because I want to understand the use case and the need. And the request is for a ducking button. So maybe assigning a pad for you to hold down to duck. So maybe assigning a button as a manual ducking button. And I found that interesting. So if you don't want ducking to be automated and turned on and be stuck on, until you get into the setting and get that turned off, and just having a manual button where you can implement it on the fly. I think that's a cool idea. And in firmware, that seems like it should be easily doable. Now, if that's something that is going to gain enough steam, I don't know. But there's a lot of flexibility with the buttons on the Mixcast 4, especially if they ever get around to switching the sound banks, which we've said so many times I didn't include on this list because we've talked about while recording, we need to be able to switch banks. We've said that one to death, so I didn't include a lot of the ones that are just monstrous repeats. I did not include on this particular list because they're on the last list I presented. And to continue on with ducking, the last one on this particular list is the ability to have the ducking only be on the sound pads. So for you to be able to turn it off for the other channels, but have it active for just the sound pads. That would just be a reversal of how it is now. Because right now you can have it on and then you can have it off for the sound pads, but that's just a simple switcheroo to have it on for the sound pads and then off for the other channels. Now there are plenty of more requests that are out there, but these were a lot of the ones that I wanted to mention and that keep coming up. Outside of modifying TalkBack, having it work to remote guests via USB and Bluetooth and TRRS, and switching sound banks while recording to the SD card. These were some of the most asked for items that I could find in comments and with talking to other people who own a Mixcast 4. So that's a lot of stuff, but it seems like Tascam is committed to continuing to better the device. So I'm going to keep putting videos like this together and see if we get to check stuff off the list. So let's see what's in their next firmware update, and then we'll regroup and we'll put together a list once again. Thank you.